Hello, and thank you for joining us for the second episode of our PvP training sessions and development. This week, we're going to be going over Huttball. I am joined, as always, by the delightful Zizine and Shinra. How are you doing today, guys?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Steve?
Awesome.
I'm good, thanks.
You.
I'm good. So let's dive straight into things. What we're going to be doing today is covering all three of the Huttballs. So you've got OG Huttball, you have Quesh Huttball, and you have Vandin Huttball. They all have a very similar rule set, but they do have some differences, so we're going to go over those with you. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in chat, or if you're on TeamSpeak, feel free to ask them. So what we're going to be doing is jumping into the Huttball map in a second, so you can see exactly what's going on as I'm talking through it. But first of all, let's go through what is Huttball. So Huttball is a regular 8v8 war zone, where your team is placed inside, it's like an intergalactic football pitch, yeah? And you're there to grab balls, all for the benefit of the ball-loving Baron Deathmark. So in this game, in MMO, sorry, Huttball is a fairly unique PvP concept. I say fairly unique because there's now 3 of them. But this isn't so much like capture the flag as it is more like a game of American football or rugby or soccer, I think as the Americans call it. So you've got a different aspect than just killing people or just like standing on things than you do on normal maps. Each Huttball map has deadly traps. It's got these like air pads that boost you into the air. And it also has a multi-tiered platform system like scaffolding really for you to navigate through and get desynced on. For those of you who don't know what desync is when the game client desynchronizes between your computer and someone else's computer, and it causes them to kind of like just jump around the screen a little bit. You can't see where they are. You often can't target them or hit them. It happens a lot when you move on the vertical axis, the Z-axis. So because Huttball has these tiers, it can cause quite a few problems. We'll go through that a lot later on, but we'll show you as well how it goes. So first of all, how do you win a game of Huttball? Well, it's pretty straightforward because it's like a game of American football or rugby. And how do you win those games? You score. So in order to win the game of Huttball, your team needs to score 6 goals more than the opposition. So this changed recently. Before this, the format was the first to 6. So if you scored 6 goals and the enemy team had 5, the game would then end. But they've changed that now because I guess they wanted the games to go on forever. So now you have to score 6 more. So if you are 6-1 up, the game doesn't end. You would have to go 7-1 up, or 8-2, or 9-3, or whatever it is. Just due to the nature of how long it takes to score, this will generally mean most games will go to the full clock, unless you get absolutely destroyed. Now, in Huttball, unlike in soccer, there will always be a winner. You do not get a draw. So you're probably wondering what happens if the score is tied. There's a few different outcomes depending on what's going on. It's usually specific around the ball. This stuff is quite important when it comes to winning games, so if you aren't familiar with the scoring system, I would suggest you listen up here. So if the score is tied, we'll just use 3-3 as an example. There's no relevance to 3-3, it's just nice and easy. Whichever team is holding the ball when the clock runs out will win the game. So if we're 3-3, my team has the ball, the clock hits 0, we win. If no one is holding the ball, then the team who scored last is the winner. So if it's 3-3 and my team scored last, then we win if no one has the ball as well. It's important to know this because there's lots of games that I've seen won and lost because people don't understand how it works. So for example, if you have the ball and there's like a minute left, you could just go and hide in the corner, preventing the enemy from scoring, and that can then allow you to win the game. Another thing you can do, and I've used this a few times, is you can try and score in the last couple of seconds. So because it takes roughly 4-5 seconds for a ball to respawn after a goal, if I score when there's anything less than that time, so we'll just say 3 seconds, the ball will not respawn before the end of the game. So if it was 2-3 and my team scores, it'll go to 3-3. The ball can't spawn because I scored with 3 seconds left and it's 4 seconds to spawn. So it's 3-3, they cannot get the ball, so we will always win. It's impossible to lose at that point in time. If you score when there's like 6 seconds left, then the ball will respawn, and if the enemy grabs it and it's a draw, then you will lose. Does everyone understand the scoring system? Was there anything that wasn't clear there? I will take your silence as confirmation that everyone understands the scoring system, but feel free to ask any questions as we go along. Shinra, would you like to go through the class roles?
Yes. So, the class roles. In Huttball, every class is somehow good. in the sense that it can feel a certain position and strategies. Let's start with the tanks. For example, in Huttball, the role of the tank carrying the ball changes somehow compared to other war zones, in the sense that the ball carrier, which most of the time should be a tank, will focus more on staying alive and not helping others, and reaching the meta as fast as possible, or passing the ball if he can't. In this case, it will be best to be paired up with a healer. You will see that really often. So the tank is gonna carry the ball, and the healer will just either pull him if it can, or just heal him until they can score. Healers, yes. So the healer common role is exactly that of healing, like in every in every other warzone. Or it can also play strategically by sometimes like a Sork placing a face walk and then try to pull, catch the ball. But essentially it will take care of the tank or the ball carrier in general. Range DPS. There are many strategical points for a range DPS where they can do the most of the damage and try to either slow down or trying to kill the ball carrier, or other DPSs that are somehow messing up with the ball carrier of your team. Melee DPS, in general, they will try to stop the ball carrier. They should focus on him, or the healer that is trying to heal him. And let's go into the specific for melee DPS. For example, Power Tech. Power Tech is definitely one of the most powerful classes in Huttball because of the pull, especially mobility in general. It can pull, leap to a target. If you're a tank, you can swap yourself with for example, the ball carrier. And it has, in this case, the guy that you switch an immunity to push and pull for some seconds. The fire pool or acid pool or poison pool is really strong. If the ball carrier of the enemy team doesn't have a full resolve bar, so white bar, you can, and you should, definitely pull him a little bit before that the trap pops into the trap, and then try to stun him either with a carbonize or a stun. Remember that the ball carrier cannot break since the new update. It cannot.
They can now. No, that was
they can. That got reverted.
It
can now?
Okay,
never mind. All right. So just try to stun him into the trap, and it's 99% of the times a kill for the ball carrier of the enemy team.
Fire pull is such a big deal in Huttball. We don't see it very often these days, probably because there's not many power attacks. But it's like a defining ability in the game, and we're going to go into it in a lot more detail.
Yes, we will show it.
I think power attacks have a talent as well, isn't it? Where you're rooted for a few seconds.
Yes, on the pull.
After pull, so yeah, it's devastating.
But since power attack since power attacks have already 2 hard stun, even if the first one is broken, you can go for the second one most of the time. Assassin. So assassin tank also have a pool. The range can be shorter than the power attack one, but still very powerful, especially if combined again with a stun. And as regards Sin in general, you're a stealth, so it can be very useful sometimes to stay close to the scoring point and just unstealth at the last time to catch the ball and score. Especially, you should use your immunity, your shroud, to be immune and be sure that no matter what, you will receive that ball, and then force speed into the meta. Operative, Snave, I'm sure I will go through it extensively, is another really strong class for Huttball due to the rolls and evasion and healing, very mobile and stuff like that. Mercenary is a pain in the ass, especially because of Electronet. It can really be devastating on the ball carrier, and it should be used on the ball carrier, to be honest. It has a sort of good mobility due to hydraulic overrides, so if you need to carry the ball, it helps. And it's very tanky, of course. So more or less like a tank, you are pretty safe when you carry the ball in this sense. Juggernaut.
Oh, before you do that, sorry, with that one as well, don't forget you can use it's called Rocket Out, is it, on Mercenaries? I don't know what the command was.
Yes,
you can use that to like leap off things or to cover traps. But I just want to touch on something really quickly, because I forgot to mention it, is hydraulics for power attacks and Vanguard. One of the reasons why it's so powerful in Huttball isn't just because it's a speed increase. Obviously, a speed increase is super beneficial. But the main benefit of hydraulics is immunity to pulls, pushes, and slows. Once you understand how to play Huttball, or if you're against a team that knows how to play Huttball, becoming immune to a pull effect on the last kind of third of the map, it's how you win the game. So it's really important that you know how all that kind of like works together. I really can't stress enough how powerful the physic abilities are. So like knockback, push, pull, all that kind of stuff. They're immensely powerful on this map.
Yeah, just in general, not only in Huttball, you should never use your hydraulic overrides just to cover a distance, but you should use it for as a defensive cooldown, let's call it. Especially on PT, that really needs them. Juggernaut? Yeah, Juggernaut has an incredible mobility due to Intercede, where you can essentially jump to an ally, or the normal leap. Also, Mad Dash is really helpful, especially if you have to cross a trap really fast and maybe you're carrying the ball. You will just jump at the other side, you will go to the other side, and nobody hopefully will follow you. It also has some really cool defensive cooldowns since the last patch, like Enraged Defense that got buffed, and so on. Marauder main utility in a Huttball is definitely, and in many war zones, is predation, especially if you use your utility points to be able to use it without your fury stacks, and because of the movement speed increase.
It's unbelievably strong predation in Huttball.
Yes.
By the way, like, it's really, it's broken almost.
I honestly would like to have a Marauder in every war zone, to be honest, because arriving first at a certain spot in many war zones is really game changing. In Huttball, even more. Sorcerer are really good in Huttball because of the Extricate that can, for example, pull an ally to a better position, maybe close to the score. Maybe you can pull it out from many DPSs that are trying to global him. And especially if you're a healer, of course. Sork is one of the best healer, and this one adds up. You can also strategically place your face walk for many good plays. Snipers are they're good even for both for DPS. You can you can move yourself around the map, try to find a certain spot where you can hit targets without getting caught. And it's really good for the Entrench that provides immunity to stun and knockdown, so you can be almost sure to catch the ball if you need it. And then also the roll. You have 1 roll and 2 if you use your Imperial Preparation. Also, when if you use the utility, how is it called? The speed boost.
I'm not sure what it's called. It's after Entrench, isn't it?
Tactical retreat, something like that. Will make you immune to slows and speed decrease. Okay, so in general, try to use always your DCDs accordingly to what you need. Don't overdo, especially if you get the ball, you will need them always. You have to be sure to use them properly to go for the score.
One thing to touch on here as well is a DCD is a defensive cooldown. Yeah, that's what it stands for. So a defensive cooldown is traditionally going to be something like Enraged Defense or Shroud or Roll for operatives, those types of things. When it comes to Huttball, I mean, it's true for all maps, but it's extra true for Huttball. You can use a lot of your mobility abilities as defensive cooldowns as well. So, like, for example, popping hydraulics to avoid being pulled is a defensive use of that cooldown. Using Hollow Traverse to like go across the other side of the map if the enemy team is clustered on one side of the map, it's defensively using that cooldown. It's moving you away from it. Huttball is all about mobility. I mean, even if you're doing the tank and spank strategy of walking the ball in, it's going to be the mobility that gets you there. So it's worth paying attention to whatever you've got on your class. If it's Intercede, Mad Dash, Leap, how you can use those to get out of situations rather than just using them to close things down. And maybe, I mean, I play Jug sometimes, and I know that it's very hard to resist the temptation of just like charging in dick first at everything as soon as it's off cooldown. But sometimes it's worth keeping just in case you need it a little bit later.
Yeah. So, alright, we can talk about map-specific items. Oh, okay. Do we want... Yeah, we can go through the modes that we already talked about before.
Just go through the DCDs first of all for each class and the best times. Yeah, so like so for Power Attacks and Vanguards, they don't really have much in the way of DCDs these days. So the ones that I would probably mention would be Hydraulics.
Hydraulics is definitely the most helpful as regards Vanguards, for sure.
The rest of them you're just going to have to pop if people are hitting you anyway on you. So.
Also your energy shield, you have a double breaker in case you need, if you spec it with the right utilities. One is the normal breaker and the second one is the Kolto. And as regards Sin, okay, I already talked about the Shroud, really important. Try to use it when you are gonna receive the ball or when you think that you could be either pushed away or stunned and it's gonna kill you. Try to use it accordingly. As regards operatives, alright, you have your evasion and your rolls. The Steam also can be useful if you use the damage reduction from the utility. Yeah,
so with Sins as well, you can use things like Force Speed to get over traps and take less damage.
Also immunity to slow and movement impairing.
Yep. Also, any kind of movement ability like this as well is very good if you're trying to counterplay a pull. So imagine you're on the top ledge and there's a power attack trying to pull you back somewhere. Using speed to either get back to a position of line of sight or out of range or anything like that can also be very beneficial. And with operatives as well, ideally what you want to do is roll as quickly as possible away from danger and use your speed to get away. But if you do get caught, yeah, the stim boost, in addition to the 11% reduction from 10% reduction from 2 stacks of Kolto Probe and using the Warzone Adrenal as well, will give you over 50% damage reduction, which is good if you're getting kapowed by everyone. But one of the greatest ways to, well, the thing that people struggle with operatives so much is their defensive play is running away. So if you're in Huttball and an operative rolls over 2 fire traps, the odds are they've got a lot of ground between you and them, and then you just can't hit them. So that if you're playing operative, you don't have much in the way of staying alive if you're caught and slowed and stunned or whatever. But if you've got your legs on, then you can certainly you can cover a lot of ground very quickly with double roll. I'll show you all that later. But that's basically how DCD is, running away.
Yes, and if you can, against an operative, try to keep track of the rolls, because you can get caught in maybe you're trying to pulling it and he's gonna roll it. And you'll be, oh my god. So try to keep an eye on it. What is the cooldown on 2 rolls? 9 seconds?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Yeah.
I'll go over how you kill an operative in Huttball later, don't worry. I know everyone is terrified of operatives in Huttballs. But they aren't even the best class. Power attacks are better, Sins are better. I mean, Sorks are better.
Yes, there are many classes.
Learn to play, Scrubs. Oh, I guess that's why you're here, sorry.
As I said, many classes can be super helpful. Doesn't matter what. Huttball is a good Warzone, good map for almost every kind of class. You can find your spot in some ways.
Just going back to defensive cooldowns, given how much people have said power techs are busted, I've been playing my sorcerer with the different sets of utilities throughout the week, and I'm just going to highlight that if you take a specific utility in Legendary, you can make yourself immune to pulls and leaps and interrupts. That means that you can negate most people being able to then gap close to you.
Yeah,
and that's on your phase walk, and that also reduces phase walk's cooldown, and that's actually really strong in terms of defending, because you can go on the line, or you can phase walk back to your line to defend, and they can't then leap to you, which gives you a few seconds to reposition to then knock them off, or you can use it offense to position yourself on their line to get the ball, and you can't be leapt to or pulled off the line, etc.
The friendly pull is incredibly strong, just because if you get pulled up a level, it's very difficult for other classes to close that gap unless they have cooldowns available. And if they don't, if they do, they use them. If they don't, then you clear through. So it's all of the pulls in Huttball are, well, they're the strongest thing in Huttball, basically.
Yeah, anything that then counters the pulls are then like body counters even stronger.
Which one was next? Sorry, is it Merc?
Merc. Merc.
Just press whatever you want.
Press any button and you won't die.
Merc is a class that doesn't lack DCDs for sure. Even here, as we said, in general, mobility DCDs are the best. So save your hydraulics when you are in need of it, and you can also use, for example, if you're getting global, you can use your reflect shield, or always in general energy shield, especially if you use the utility that for every second 0.5 that you take damage will decrease the cooldown of it, so it comes in handy, and also can heal you. And think that's... Oh, of course, you can, when you are really stormed, you're zerged by enemies, don't forget you can push them away. It comes in handy, for example, if you are in a narrow path. For example, one of these bridges on the Huttball, you can push people away, maybe down, and they will not bother you anymore. Even an overload, for example, for assassins or for sorcerers. A push for a juggernaut also, and so on. Try to just push them away so you can be free and go for the meta. Sniper also has a push, of course. So try to use them properly to get rid of the people on you. Marauder, well, Marauder, there's not much he can do as regards the positioning other people. He has no push, he has nothing, he's just tanky. But as I said, predation is a really strong buff. So if you find yourself carrying the ball, you can use your predation, be immune to movement impairing, and you have mad dash. Also very good. Either not to get damage or just to cross a trap, or even jump to another level of the war zone, just to be sure to keep the distance between you and the attackers.
Touching on Maras and a little bit broader slightly as well. I know Maras have that mini net ability, don't they? Which is like a net for a second and a half.
Obliterate. Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Oh no! Sorry, the net. Yes, that's for Carnage.
For Carnage, yeah.
Yes.
But just the point that with this one I wanted to touch on is you should know what slows and what roots you have, because using slows and roots correctly, I mean, anyway, is something that people should be doing. But just knowing what abilities you have that have the extra slow or root tacked on them is very important, because you're going to want to be rooting people or slowing people in the fire traps to make sure they get damaged by it, and it's handy to have before they get white barred. So realistically, if you see someone whose resolve isn't full, go for slows and roots before stuns.
Yes, especially because they adds up to the movement slow that the ball carrier will get. That is 33%.
Yeah.
So it adds up to that slow. So keep that in mind. Other DCDs.
I can go over Sorks if you want.
Sorks.
Yeah, sure.
Sorks, yes. The strongest DCDs in the game, probably. The bubble from Sork. Fortunately, we remove the ball. If you're carrying the ball and you use your bubble, it will reset the ball, which means the ball will spawn again in the middle of the map. You cannot use your bubble just to be immune and then go on and carrying it. Makes sense. Also face walk. If you have the ball and you use face walk, it will remove the ball from you. It will reset and again go mid. But still, you have your energy, your force barrier.
No.
Yeah, that will soak up some damage. You have your force speed, as we said, really important. And regarding Sork,
they obviously have the pool, which is defense for every class.
Yes, the pull is useful, the extricate for pulling somebody to a better position. We will show that later. And of course you have your overload. Always important just to push away some...
So Sorks play an interesting role in Huttball. I think that's the one thing I hope people are kind of picking up on with this, is that depending on what class you have, you bring something to the table no matter what class you are. But it's how you adapt what you bring to the game. So a Sork by itself, let's say you're a DPS Sork. Does DPS Sorks have friendly pull? They don't, isn't it just heals?
No, it's all sorts of pull.
All Sorks, is it? Okay. So if you're a DPS Sork, if for example, you think of original Huttball, if you stay near the middle, but on the first platform up, and you're just kind of raining down DPS, what you can then do is, if your team gets the ball, all you've got to do is run over the first fire pit, and then after they move forward, they just pull you up, and you've cleared a large chunk of the map and a lot of tricky obstacles in just that one move. It's incredibly strong. But the point I'm making there is, before that, the Sork is in a DPS position. Same thing with snipers, for example. They can perch up high, and they can shoot people. And this is on OG Huttball, by the way. But then, if the goal is scored, they can then drop down and entrench next to the ball to grab it on the rebound. They're really good at getting the ball, the best ball grabbers, Schnarf. So then what they can do is get the ball, roll forward, get pulled by the Sork, bing bang bosh, you're scoring, you know? So it's about using your specific utility that you have to the maximum impact in the role that you play in.
Yes, we'll also go over the term rebound later. Really important. It's one of the most important thing to do in the Huttball. Essentially, it is...
No, we'll cover that a bit later. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, later? Okay. No problem. Especially because it's better maybe to show it.
Yes, I think so, yeah. Should we jump into Huttball now? Because we're going to go into the map-specific things now.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
So this isn't a challenge game, guys. This is just so you can have a look around the map whilst we're explaining things. You can feel free to do whatever you want in the map, but try not to score, because then we'd have to... Well, don't score six times, basically.
Which Huttball do you want to
just original
show?
Huttball, we'll do first.
We'll go normal than Quest then. That's fine.
Sorry, Zizing, do you want to go to the map-specific things?
Yeah, I'll go over those different traps, where to stand, where not to stand, etc., stuff like that. And then, do you want to do more class-specific things in war zones as well, or not?
Yeah, I'd like to show all those things that we just talked about, so people can have a visual on them.
Yeah, sure. Just when starting off, remember, obviously, if you don't have any med packs or Adrenos on you, remember to purchase them from the vendor. They have moved it in the original Huttball. It's now up here on the left. It's no longer back down the stairs. Always remember to pick some up if you don't have them.
You've also got the quests in the corner as well, if you can pick things up on the terminals or hand them in.
You can pick up and hand them in challenge mode as well, which is interesting.
Whilst we're waiting for this game to start, I may as well tell you the fastest way to get to middle on Operative. So Operative has a thing called double roll, where basically if you roll and the roll completes just after a ledge, it'll extend the distance that you roll. So what you want to do is you want to roll once off this first ledge, you want to use countermeasures to get your speed increase, and then you want to roll just as you get to this top part here, which will then propel you over that as well, covering more distance than if you just roll twice in a row. Because essentially you get in 4 rolls for 2, or close to 4 rolls for 2. You can counterplay this. You would need a Marauder on the team to get predation at the start. And then what can happen is they get to the middle at roughly the same time, and they can leap to the Operative. If they have a route on leap, then it'll prevent them from grabbing the ball. Obviously the Operative can try and play around this using Breaker or any kind of Purge effect, but that's how you play around it. But a Marauder with Operative is going to be the fastest. So there you go, roll off the first one, and just as you get to this one, roll off again. And that's it. You can then jump over most of this.
Rip, my Marauder didn't give me predation.
That's how you get the ball.
By the way, do you want to explain that if they roll in certain position, they just fell down just after the border of the...
Yeah, so basically when it comes to doing the double roll, you want to get it as close as possible so that the roll completes. So ideally you want the roll to complete just off the edge. if you cock it up and it's just before the edge, what will happen is you'll just kind of just drop. That's all. So you want to try and push it as far as you can, but just be mindful that it's better to complete it non-optimally than to cock it up. One thing, I'll just do this now as well, seeing as I'm here, is how you can cover the fire traps with Operative. So I'm going to stand here at back middle and just show you how quickly you can get from here back to middle, okay? So you would roll diagonally across this, and then you would roll diagonally across that. And I'm back in mid. I've covered all that distance in about 4 or 5 seconds. You can also combine this with things like Hollow Traverse or whatever to close the gap again. But you can use Hollow Traverse defensively and offensively, so that's going to be kind of like down to what you're doing. Huttball is like a playground for when it comes to double rolls. There's loads you can do, and it's great when you find like a real juicy one. But you want to primarily use rolls for covering the trap. Once you get to this top ledge, you can do like swanky rolls over here or all that kind of stuff. But do you see how far the distance is extended with double roll? It's kind of insane, really. Like, I think I can roll from like roughly here and get to the middle one. Oh, no, I was too far back. Let's try that. Yeah. So that's like from up here to down there in one roll. You combine another roll into it and you're back in middle straight away. So it's something to be mindful with operatives, is if you see them in one position, they can close a lot of space very quickly.
Yes. As regards the pool that we were talking about before, if Snave wants to catch the ball, I can show.
I don't want to get fireball. Which way do you want me to go?
This way is alright.
I don't know which way this way is.
You're right.
Just run it forward, yeah?
Yeah, don't fool him his resolve, please. So if I see Snave there, alright, he's carrying the ball, I'm gonna just... Oh wait, I have to respect. Second?
No worries.
You can't respect on a wall zone.
No, I respect, but I forgot to change the skill. Bar. There we go. Here's the pool. Alright. So, if Snake has the ball, right?
You got to be quick, I'm gonna blow up now.
Yeah.
Gonna pass it back to me.
I can just pull him, stun him into it. Boom.
I thought we were friends.
That's what you should always try to do with a Sin tank or with a PT. Either tank or DPS doesn't matter, because PT has the grab on both the specs. All the 3 specs. Alright.
Cool. I go for traps then?
When you pass the ball, for example, I didn't show that. When you pass the ball into... can you give me the ball again, please, Wolf? Here. Allison, can you pass me the ball? Or not?
There we go.
Alright, so when you have, for example, here you see 2 enemies and Wolf. If I want to pass the ball, I'm gonna stay here. You will see the priority goes to him. Okay? It's quite important. As long as he's not stunned. Oh, something that we didn't say.
Yeah,
if
okay.
If
so we're going to do pass the ball now?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't thought anything about the map.
Alright, so Snape, can you stun Wolf? So I show you that he was gonna get the ball, right? If he was standing next to some enemies. Snape, you can stun him.
I just pass it.
Okay. So if I stun him, he's not able to catch the ball. And what happens is, chances are an enemy is gonna take it. Okay? So be mindful, and that's why we said use your immunities if you have them to be sure to catch the ball in this case, like Shroud for me.
Yeah, there are occasions when your ball may be intercepted.
Yes. So
Yes.
if you want to pass me the ball.
Okay, pass the ball to Snave.
Yes.
Well, I can show you this now. If you just do a free form pass, yeah, but like put it between the middle of us.
All right.
So the person closest to the center will get the ball. So if someone passes to you, usually they'll have double click to auto pass turned on, which will put you dead center. But if you move and someone else is in the center, then they'll pick up the ball instead.
Exactly.
This is particularly relevant for things like leap and Hollow or Shadow Stride or Phantom Stride, sorry, whatever it is. Because if someone passes, say, to Shinra here, and then I Hollow across to him, see, it puts me just in front of him and put it to the side. If it's dead on him, he'll still get it. But if he's moving and hoping to get the ball towards the outer circles, then I'll intercept that ball. Otherwise, I could follow it up with a hard stun, if I'm not CC'd, and then it'll stop him getting the ball, and then I will catch the ball because I'm in the circle. Does that make sense?
So be mindful where you place your articulate of the ball.
I would recommend doing the double click to pass thing, just to remind you guys where that is. If you go into controls, scroll all the way down, it's called quick ground target activation. That means if you double tap the button, then it'll automatically center it to them. Whilst you're there, I also recommend you go into key bindings, go into quick bar, go all the way down to the bottom, which is the temporary quick bar slot. Slot 1 will always be past the Huttball, so I recommend you keybind that just so you have easy access to it at any point in time. Zizine, what did you want to say about the map?
I was just going to go over specific traps in this.
Yes.
In this war zone. So in original Huttball, there are 8 fire pits each side and 1 acid pit each side. This map is exactly symmetrical, as are pretty much all maps, in one way or another. It's important to note that the 5 traps operate on a diagonal basis, so they operate on the cross, and it's interesting to play around them based on your mobility on different classes. So, for example, if the one side lights up, Snape can roll, say, across like one path, and then roll across another. The fire traps will kill any classes. The only class that can survive through them are Swords with Barrier. There aren't really many defenses that can otherwise survive.
I just checked now, and it was doing 41,000 per tick.
Yeah, so, and unless you've really got like 3 healers, maybe even 4 focus healing you aren't surviving that. And so yeah, I do think Sword Barrier is the only way to completely mitigate it and not die. The fires don't slow you, they just damage you. It is like 2 ticks a second or something. The acid pits, however, slow you but do less damage.
They do just over 4,000 per tick, and it's every second by the looks of it. Okay. Or every 0.5 second, actually. That's very fast. 1, 2, yeah, every 0.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's 0.25? I think it's 0.5 for the fire tricks, maybe 0.25 for the acid, because they do a lot less damage. Yeah, this one there's not as many traps in. There's only the 8. It's just important to know where to stand and where to position. Obviously, if you have the ball, you don't really want to be standing close to it. You'll get pushed into it, and at that point you're probably dead unless you have a CC breaker and then a mobility ability. Yeah. A word to say.
Mobility ability, yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah.
One thing I see a lot of players doing, which is linked to that one, is they'll get the ball and they'll get to the trap. The trap will be active. They don't have a white bar and they just stand there. I see it all the time. You shouldn't be doing that, because if you get knocked forward in any way, shape, or form, you're going to die. If you're going to stand, if you have to stand there, stand next to one of the pillars so the knockback is slightly mitigated, or at least it's trickier for them to do, or stand a little bit further away. But you should really have a plan to what you do when you get here. I know it doesn't always work that way, just with cooldowns and that kind of stuff, but you want to try and mitigate it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Is it of any help to push or pull the enemy into one of these acid?
Yes.
The acid list I wouldn't bother with, because it's...
The acid is just so slow, and and it gives ticks of damage, but it's not really deadly.
It's good. If you root someone in there, then great. But I certainly wouldn't waste a push or a knockback, because what you got to think about here is, say I've got the ball, yeah, and I run through the acid, or you pull me into the acid, then you don't have pull. But the logical conclusion is, once I get past here, I'm going to go to the fire trap, and it's way better to pull me into the fire trap than there is the acid.
Makes sense, yes.
Okay.
I think the rat. Should we just go into Crash Huttball now to have a look at that one too?
Yeah. There's not much. The only thing to be careful of is the knock-up pits, the air pits. I don't know.
We can go back into OG Huttball if you want to finish that off.
Maybe the modes, where the modes are.
Yeah, could go back and do that quickly.
Okay. That sounds good. Whilst we're getting that pop-up, you want to go through some of the other map-specific things?
Yeah, so I'll go through where you want to play. I can do phase walks and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like the door timer, the ball.
Oh yeah, you mean that kind of map stuff? Yes, sure. There is a method to the madness of the events. I think if you have the ball, they won't necessarily...
No. In the Vandin one, the events are scripted. In this one, it's random.
Okay. I thought once they brought in Vandin, they'd all become scripted.
No, no. Yeah, they don't. The ones in Vandin will always put you in the same position, or in one of like a few positions. This one is just, roll, pick a direction. That's where you go in.
So it's never usually worth to use them, as it can sometimes be more.
Come on now, Zine, you only live once. You gotta risk it for a biscuit. Come on, buddy.
I've done it like twice. I've gone into it with the ball and been thrown straight into a fire pit and then stunned. Like they don't even have to use a knockback on me.
Yeah.
I'm against using them. The amount of times that I've ended up dying within 5-6 seconds of them.
I can cover the air pads when it comes to the ball carrying paths, because there is some merit.
Yeah.
Grab the ball, throw the ball, get the ball over the opposing team.
But no, so you have 90 seconds at the start of the war zone to prepare yourself, get everything ready, quests and stuff like that, and then you want to do timers, which I like.
Oh yeah, you carry on, buddy.
At the start, you have 30 seconds. So once the doors open, for the first time they open, you have 30 seconds to get out of the area. And then they operate on 30-second rotations, 20 seconds being closed, 10 seconds being open. The little circle with the 4 quadrants, every 5 seconds one of those will disappear. It is important to note, you do get the debuff, and you can actually get stuck in the door. They're like 2 shields, so you can get stuck in the middle. If that does happen, you still are counted as inside the defensive area and can be booted from the war zone for inactivity. The ball itself, I think as Snape's mentioned before, has a 4 to 5 second reset timer after it's been either mispassed or scored.
Pass incomplete. Rodworms need a vision checkup.
6 seconds. Oh, 5 seconds, yeah.
Was that 5 then? Let me just reset it again.
Let's see if they can keep it. Pass incomplete. Rodworms need a vision checkup.
Yeah, it's about 5.
Let me just see if it's different on a goal.
Okay.
Is one of you at mid to check?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, scoring now.
5 seconds.
Yeah, so it's 5 seconds for the
5
reset.
seconds. Okay.
Okay, so range classes will obviously want to be positioned up here usually. From our previous video we made where we talked about different positionings and stuff, and your roles, you don't want to really go into melee range. What you want to do is you want to roughly stand by some of the traps upstairs. That means if they then run up to you, all 3 range classes have a knockback. And therefore you can knock them back into it.
But like here is a good position to stand, because you can shoot down at mid, but you can still help your team quite easily.
Yeah. The one problem though, if you do stand there, and you obviously don't, if you're not a sniper, they can leap to you and then go straight through
Sorry,
it.
I thought you meant sniper.
Well no, because all range classes have a knockback. But yeah, snipers particularly are best there, but other classes you more want to be positioned along this part, or down the sides over here. Snipers obviously, they're the only class that can not be leapt to, just by going into cover. Whereas swords, you have to phase walk to get a buff that prevents you from being leapt to or pulled, but that only lasts for 10 seconds, where being cover on a sniper is permanent. Melee DPS, tanks, you'll want to position down there as well. Healers usually want to be not positioned where people can hit them, but if you're going to be running with a tank, you probably want to be down there as well with your tank.
we can also show where, for example, a stealther should stay if you want to catch the ball. For example, right now, if my team gets the ball, Nave, are you any close to me?
Oh, I thought I could catch that ball then.
Unlucky, Snave.
So, can one of my team catch the ball? Or just pass it to them?
To the person, Romgus, in your chat, Sorks have a lot of in skill for a masterful. Sorks don't really have strong utilities, but the second you get to heroic, you could technically say all 6 are really viable in war zones. Like being able to have immersion, so you don't get rooted on slows, and you break movement and parrying effects, reduce damage while stunned, allow shift giving you a movement speed boost, knockbacks, root. They're all superly strong. But same with some of the ones in Legendary. But yeah, I prefer to run a more utility-based one where I can't be affected. But I know that there are so many different combinations you can take. For example, there's unnatural preservation ones where you can get 40 to 45k self-heals, which is absolutely dumb when you're fighting a DPS Sork. But yeah. So they are a bit weird, but Sorks probably have the most versatile set of picks you want, or sets of choices you can take. If that makes sense.
Okay. So when I have the ball here, you can see that I have a timer. There's a buff that I get called Ball Carrier. You have 45 seconds when you get the ball. If you don't pass the ball in that time or don't score, the ball will blow up, which will kill you, and then the ball will transfer to the next person or the enemy who's nearest to you. So I'm just going to stand here next to, well, I'm next to 2 people, so I'm not sure who it'll go to, but that's going to run out in 8 seconds. So I'll blow up, and then it'll go to one of the enemies, and it'll they will then get the ball off me. There you go. So you want to make sure that there's a few ways you can deal with this, okay? So first of all, you want to make sure that you have enough time to score. If you isolate yourself and you've got 10 seconds left and there's no way of you making it there, you may as well reset the ball because you're going to die otherwise. The other thing that you can do is if you see someone with the ball who's running with it, so you can see there's 23 seconds, so I wait until there's like 20 seconds left, and then I can just make a mental note. He only has 20 seconds with the ball. So you can just stun him, that's 2 seconds, triple in slice. Oh, I didn't even know what happened there.
Yeah, face wall.
Oh, thank you for that demonstration. So basically what you do is you stun them and then they blow up with the ball, so they die and they can't pass it off then. So that's one way of killing the ball carrier. It happens a lot more because they changed the timer. 45 seconds isn't as long as you think it is. Like it really goes by quite quickly, and a lot of players get caught where they pants down.
Yeah, particularly Merc Electronets can be quite troublesome because they slow you and yet they don't CC you, and therefore, yeah, as long as your team doesn't root them, just by slowing someone by 50%, that won't give them enough time to make it to the end, provided they don't have leaps or stuff. So yeah, if you slow someone by 50% for the majority of the time, with it now only being 45 seconds, they won't make it to the end.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning as well that if you do have the ball, it doesn't say it on the buff itself, but if you do have the ball, then you are slowed. So it will slow you by 33%, so you will move at 67% of your normal speed.
Another thing that we didn't say, quite obvious, but to keep in mind when you're carrying the ball and you're not really sure which way to pick, you can see that every trap has a specular one. If one is active, the other one will be off. So if you see, for example, that this one is going to activate, then you have to pick the other way if you want to avoid the trap.
Yeah. So quickly, we'll just run around all the nodes.
Yeah. There's also big arrows on here as well, which point you which direction to run. So the enemy team has the ball, so there was a big arrow pointing that way. If I get the ball, there'll be arrows pointing this way. So you see the purple one here? He's going in that direction.
Yeah, so it's important to pay attention to those. They were a recent addition, though, weren't they? They haven't been around.
Yes, they were added, I think, roughly the same time as Vandin, I believe.
Yeah.
So you can see now I have a yellow one pointing in this direction. So it points towards the way you're meant to be going. In case you were ever curious.
Okay. So run around to do all the nodes quickly. Speed up, health.
The buffs. Yeah, sure. So I'll go and get the speed buff down here first of all. So on the map is symmetrical. So whatever you see on one side is the same on the other side. So there's a speed boost here. You have a health boost here. And then tucked away here, you have the war zone buff here.
Do you want to explain quickly about the changes? Or what Shinra discovered with it?
Which changes, sorry? The war zone buff?
Yeah, because it does some
the overcharge power.
Yeah, so it gives you, well, it says plus 15% healing and plus 15% of damage.
Only damage,
Yeah, it just does damage. It's meant to be defensive, but I don't know whether they ninja changed it or if it's a bug. The previous patch notes involving it was meant to be a 15% damage reduction, but now it's 15% damage increase going out, so I don't really know how that one works.
No, is there anything else?
I want to cover Resolve again quite quickly, because I think Resolve is something people get wrong a lot of the time. Get wrecked. Like, if I'm here, and I don't have a white bar, you want to be rooting me and slowing me as much as possible, because that's going to make me peel through all of my cooldowns a lot faster, so that I can just survive and get through this stuff. So rather than going for hard stuns, because like if for example you go hard stun, I mean I'm probably going to die here, my health is quite low, but if people were hard stunning me here, what's going to happen is I'm going to get to this point, I'm going to have a white bar on me. Can someone else see me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I can break. Oh well, I died with the ball. But anyway, if I break there, it basically gives me the duration of my white bar running out to then just roll to the finishing line. A lot of the complaints I see about operatives being too strong in Huttball is more from a general ignorance level of people not understanding how to properly layer their CC. Otherwise, you would see a lot more dead operatives. So it's something to be very mindful of. That if they aren't white barred and you know that your stun is going to white bar them, is there in a good position? Would you be better off doing something else? Is someone on your team going to fire pull them? Just try and have a bit more like awareness of what's going on around the whole thing. Did you want to do Quash next?
Yeah, we can go.
Let's go back to Quash. So Quash has the basic. It's the same premise. The main difference being is Quash. And it has 3 tiers, and it has a lot of desync, and it has an acid trap, which is a little bit like flipping a coin to see whether you live or die. The acid trap in Quash Huttball is the only trap there is, and it's a lot more potent than the fire trap. You can sometimes roll through, or you can usually roll through the acid trap without taking a huge amount of damage, but once you get the acid debuff on there, it basically applies the same hinder effect that Electronet does. So no leap, no mad dash, no roll, nothing like that is going to work.
And slow, yeah.
And you're slowed as well. So the problem that you'll find is once you get hit by 1 tick, because you're so slowed, you're going to get hit by 10 ticks and die. That's just generally how it works. It's far deadlier than the fire trap. Even rolling through it can be a little bit YOLO. So you need to be a little bit careful as to how you mitigate going through this. Ideally, you want to make sure you have some kind of cooldown here to navigate this. I mean, I know you can't always pick and having that, but I would recommend that you try your level best. If you do have a pull or a way to push someone into that, 10-10 would recommend pushing people into acid on your jug. It is hilarious. I absolutely love doing it. Bonus points if you can get, like, if you can like Kobe them over the balcony down here, the railing is down here, into the acid, just yeet that person in there is amazing. It's the best thing in the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
So give that a try. But yeah, acid pulls, I would say acid pulls are easier than fire pulls, because even if you have cooldowns available, you're probably still going to die in the acid. Fire pulls you can sometimes get out of. I think the only way you survive an acid pull is if they cock it up.
Yeah. Like I said, Force Barrier is the only cooldown that can actually ever survive, and you use Force Barrier, you lose the
Lose the
ball.
balls, yeah, it's effectively the same thing. It's going to show you how much you take from the acid pit, because it's fairly substantial. I do this for science. So it's 41,000, and I don't know how quickly I died then, but I was like solo ranked speed. So you die very, very quickly. It's 40. It looks like every 0.25. You're also slowed. You can't roll. You're just in it. You can't use Breaker to get rid of it. You can't use Purge to get rid of it. So if I go in here, let me just take one tick. Ooh. As you can see, the hitbox for this is a little bit all over the place. So whilst I have that buff, I cannot roll or anything else. So it's if you get hit going into it, you're probably going to die in it. It's not too bad if you get hit going out of it, because you can still survive for a little bit. Oh man, I mean, God, this is so hard. But yeah, so you have, I think that's on there for like a second and a half. Big damage, lack of mobility, big oof. You're going to get messed up.
Oh, another really important thing now that I think about it that I forgot to mention as a tank, or even as a DPS. Guard the ball carrier, always.
Get knocked into the fire. Oh God, that's beautiful. Double kill.
Because that really helps. And
Yeah.
Snave, you can also show the fastest way to go down at the beginning, maybe.
Oh,
Also helps.
absolutely, yeah. I'll show you.
Yeah.
So the best. I'm just going to die with the ball here. If you can just leave the ball in spawn for a second, please, so I can
Yeah.
Yeah,
show
sure.
you how to do it. I need to get back up to the top, and this is probably faster than walking.
You've got about
So
5
ideally,
seconds.
what you want to be doing is, can you dump the ball, please, Anyara? Just reset it. I didn't realize
Yeah.
you were there. Sorry. Okay, so ideally, what you want to do is have your stacks up. You drop down. You roll. You roll. You get the ball. That's the fastest way to get it. So right at the start, you just drop down, you take the full damage. If you can get any heals roll in before, or healer to drop with you, that's optimum. And then you just roll down here, roll and get the ball. If you don't see any enemies dropping down, you can be a little bit cheeky and not use the second roll or whatever your speed boost is. I mean, you can do it with Maras, with Predation, Drop, and Mad Dash. You can do it with Jugs. You can do it with a lot of different classes. Ops will always be the fastest in that kind of distance because they have such great mobility on short cooldowns. What you can then do once you're down here is... Shall I show you the quickest way to score as well now?
Yeah.
Is anyone up top left?
Design can go.
Yeah, I can go.
And also expect it from the enemy team, so try to counter it.
Yep. So this is just what I've dropped down now, okay? So I've dropped down, I know I'm facing south, but this will be like the first way going forward for you. If I grab the ball and run across to the side here, what you can do on this map is pass all the way up to the top, right up here. So if I just pass that ball there, and again the double click the pass does work, you mitigate the entire map and you just have one acid trap to get through. So as you can probably imagine, if you have a chain of people, one standing there, running to score, and then the other person running back to get the rebound, you can score very quickly. They've just scored one there, I grab the ball again, run back up, just dump the ball up there again, and that's how you lose games really quickly in Crash Huttball. So how do you play around that? What's the best way to play around it? Well, the best way is to stop them from getting the ball to begin with, so that they can't do it. The other one is, if you see the ball carrier going to the same side like you did just then, you know what's going to happen. The pass is going to go through there. So if you have any knockbacks, just come up there, knock them back as the ball is coming, and then you'll intercept, and the enemy has very gratefully passed you the ball. And now all you got to do is walk across to the other side, and you can just score the goal over here. Assuming you don't die in the acid trap like I always do. And then you would just go, and that's it. So just be aware that these tactics, they seem quite cheesy, but they're incredibly easy to counter. Like, if you concede 6 goals to that method, it's because you chose to concede 6 goals to that method. You didn't do anything to counterplay it. And you just need to have a knockback. That's all. A knockback, a pull, a push, or even a stun now.
A stun, yeah.
So if you're an operative and you think, oh, I'm going to... Well, I guess you've got an overload shot if you want to be maximum troll. But you can just stealth next to them, and as soon as they get it, you just go in for the stun. That stops them. Another thing you can do, which is a bit less frequent, but if you see the pass go in, just check a grenade. If you have a seismic grenade or anything that does a stun, that will prevent them from getting the ball. So the ball will then reset. Now you know the ball is going to reset, so you can be already heading back down to get the rebound.
Takes the ball.
I missed how you pass the ball at that height. You cannot select the.
You can try it yourself. Just go down, pick the ball. I will stay up.
Who asked that question?
Aniara.
Anya, okay, 1 second. I'll give you the ball now.
Just on.
Okay. So just follow me. If you stand about here, just bring up. If you just press past the Huttball once to bring up the reticule, the targeting system, and then place it right up the top.
Because I also have to move the camera.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yep. So if you have a keybound, just press the button once, and it'll bring up the reticule. There you go.
Oh.
All the way up to the top. If you have double tap, if you have that ground target activation turned on, if you just target the player who's up there and press the button twice, it'll automatically pass.
Okay.
So, while we're on this strategy, classes you want to be doing this on, you want classes with high mobility on the ground, operatives, marauders, and you want classes that can't be knocked off at the top, so snipers, mercs, power techs, and their Republic counterparts, obviously.
Yeah, also works well with stealth, obviously, because they can hide.
Yeah. Stealth is like the most obnoxious class for dealing with this because you don't know which side they're on.
Well, it's like the evolution of the metagame, isn't it? Because, say for example, there's a stealther camping here and you're getting passed all the time. So you think to yourself, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand here with my Sin, and then when the pass comes through, I'll just do a knockback. Well, what you can then do as the stealther is stand here instead.
Yeah,
because there's not a
try
huge
to
difference.
be unpredictable.
Yes. Basically, if you want to look left, turn right. Yeah, you want to confuse them with your movement and have it to be as unpredictable as possible. You could even stand in positions like this, stand in non-optimum positions for scoring, but it just makes it far less likely for someone who's intentionally trying to play around you to play around you, basically. One thing I want to mention quite quickly here, because it does do my nut in, yeah? If you're a sniper and you're a merc or like a DPS sork, and you spend the entire game sitting on this top pipe here, you're an absolute bell end. Because you're relying on everyone to come into this area for you to shoot. So you're not actually helping your team very much, because unless people are in that area for you, you can't really do anything. It's far better to be roaming around or even on your own line or around this area so that you can actually help people, as opposed to just like, party numbers, you know? This area here isn't that effective. This pipe, though, is brilliant if you want to do a quick switch. So if someone, for example, say there's a pass I intercept here, you can use this pipe in the middle to cover the gap in between, and then you avoid all of the traps. I mean, it's weak to knockbacks and pulls and pushes and all that kind of jazz, but it does allow you to cover that gap very quickly, okay?
Just on that sniper positioning, at all four of the acid points at top, there are little platforms to the right. If you jump down onto one of those, you're in a position that not many people can get to you, and you can actually lay down DPS there.
Do you mean this ledge here on the?
Yeah, there's small ledges down there. Not where you are, but if you jump down one.
Do you want to show me the position you want to go into? Because that one.
It's just down. Yeah, it's just down. Plus, there's then a pipe you can then run onto, and therefore you can then reach onto the main area, and you can also reach down into where the acid pit is, and you can route. Done with grenades, concussion missiles, whirlwind, etc. So you can actually hit the entire range of fighters down here, and people can't get to you, and you're also really hard to target because of your position. So
yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah, it's really obnoxious to try and hit someone.
Try to find the spot, but where is...
Also,
what spot are you talking about?
We're over here, I don't know where you are.
Let me find you and I'll show you.
With the ball, career.
Yeah, just keep on running. Yeah, to me. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, keep going.
So
it's just on these
here.
ledges.
Oh.
If you ever end up here as an operative, by the way, awesome double roll to get off and back up. I love doing that.
Yeah, it's the only class that can do that.
Sniper?
And sniper, yeah. Another important thing, in the meta area, so this one where Snape was, you cannot jump over here with a leap, for example.
Yeah, see,
so
I can't leap.
Although you can be pulled here.
I think Intercede works as well, doesn't it?
Intercede?
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think so, to be honest. By the way, you can extricate somebody here close to the meta and let him score. Another stuff about the Quash Huttball is that it's the only Huttball where you have 4 healing mod.
One just re-queue up, we'll show them where everything is then.
Yeah.
Also, hello Twitch chat, sorry I'm ignoring you. Also, hello Aquila, how are you? Right. Yeah, do Quash again?
Yeah. I think there are a couple of people that want to just change utilities and stuff. So,
okay, yeah.
Should I jump on my jug, or...
Sure,
are we okay?
Sure, go for the jug if you want to.
I'm trying to think if I need to show anything on my jug, though.
Did I show PT, or I don't know?
Yeah, okay, so we're kind of familiar with operative and roles now, aren't we? So yeah, let me just jump on my jug quickly. Oh my god, he said my name.
I'm gonna take PT. Second.
You meant to say, Aquila's the name, remember it, you'll be screaming it later. That's the line. Alright, can I get an invite? I'm on Snavat. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly.
Oh, cool. Do you want to just queue up then?
Yeah, 1 second, I'm logging in.
Don't kill too many without me.
I love those 2 key bindings, by the way. Those 2 taunts.
If there are questions, by the way, by all means, free, either in TeamSpeak or in chat.
Is everyone really okay with Huttball? Because we've covered a great deal of information here.
Yeah, I think it's just...
Should I do a quiz to test you? No? Everyone's happy with it? No questions whatsoever? I mean...
I do have a question about the original Huttball, the air vents. If there is a trick to make it go into a certain direction you need?
No. There is no trick to go into that position. The air vents on original Huttball will just put you into a random position.
Okay.
I always press the key in the direction that I want to go to. It's a bit like in Mario Brothers, you know, you press the key harder and you lean to the side, try and get it over that way, but I don't think that actually helps. But I do that all the time. It's the only one that has air vents that have a set position is Vandin, and we'll do that one next. It's probably worth going over the grapples on this map as well, because those are set. So if you're looking to climb back up from the bottom to the middle, you can use the grappling points to get back up. So the thing with Huttballs, and this is true for all Huttballs, you get immensely punished by any kind of change in the Z-axis. So like any kind of vertical movement can really mess you up. So, like, for example, if you get pushed down a tier, you have a large amount of distance to climb back up again. Same thing with OG Huttball, same thing with Vandin. So you've always got to be kind of prepared to walk the same path many, many times. And when you only have 40 seconds, you also have to be prepared to try and pass the ball off to someone before you blow up. So a lot of the time when I see people blowing up, it's because of that. They get knocked down, they just think I'm going to do it again. They've already spent 30 seconds doing it. They just don't realize the time, so...
and the time got nerfed from 2 minutes to 45
seconds, yeah. It's a good change, by the way, I like it. It certainly stops a lot of tactics that used to be, let's say, dubious.
It also stops people from like running it from one line to the other, should they get should they stop it.
I think 45 seconds is a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, I would make it shorter rather than longer, but I think 45 seconds is pretty much the sweet spot. Thinking about it, 30 seconds would probably be too short.
Yeah, I don't think they're... I think, what was it, Juggernauts, Operatives, Marauders, maybe Power Techs could cover that distance in 30 seconds from the middle. Most of the classes will be pushed to not have to use multiple speed boosts.
Yeah. All right, so these are the ways you jet up. So you can see there's little arrows in the air. They're not really pointed in any direction, but you go up this way. So if you click on this table, magnetic grappling blasters, 1 second cast, and it puts you up here, and it'll put you in the same spot every time. There's one on on every side, sorry, on all 4 sides. It's this little table here. So you click on that, boosts you straight back up.
It's important to note that once you've been boosted up, you do get a debuff. That means you are unable to carry the Huttball for 10 seconds.
I'm just going to get it again.
It's 8 to 10 seconds. So that's important to be aware of. So, for example, if you're with a team and you're down there and one of you leap up, you can't then pass that person because they've got the debuff.
Yeah, you also can't do it if you have the ball.
Yeah. I think it's a cover effect. If you're in cover, you can't do it as well. So actually, let me reposition my phrase. But if you click on me, Snave, and you look at my debuffs and stuff, you'll see that once I use my phase walk, I end up with a shifting silhouette, and I can't use that for the 10 seconds because it thinks I'm in cover, because that's how it works.
Ah, right, okay. That's interesting.
So I think it's the same for snipers, so you can't use it while hunkered down.
Sean C, if you just stop running just after the acid pit, please. I just want to see if I can intercede to you. I just need to confirm that.
After the acid pit?
Yeah, just run a little bit further over. Thank you. Can you come a little bit more towards me, please?
Trying to explode.
Oh.
Okay, wait. Is there somebody else? Oh, stay there.
Yeah. Have you just passed the sizing, yeah?
Yeah.
Right into Rotworm hands. Perfect interception.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, 1 second. I can't leap either.
You're not.
No. But what you can do is, Sizing, if you just stand, yeah, there you go. If you just stand on the pipe here, I still can't intercede to you. A bit further forward. Here we go.
So I think this little bit on the pipe then must mark it disconnect, join to something.
Yeah, so you want to be around about here and then people can get across to you. But you can't leap to people on the line.
The concept of rebound,
yes.
I don't want to skip it because it's
no, it's really big, but this kind of ties into the when do you attack and when do you defend side of things, okay?
Yeah.
So if someone has the ball and they're up here, let me just give you a really textbook example. They're up here, they're white barred, there's no acid coming down, and they're this with the ball. You aren't going to be able to stop them because you can't slow them, you can't root them, you can't stun them. They can just walk it in. There's nothing you can really do about it. When you get to that point, there's really no purpose in chasing them. And I'm not saying just give up immediately all the time, but there's really no point in chasing them. What you want to do when that happens is, whatever map it is, drop to the appropriate spawn point and wait for the rebound goal. So you know that when they score, the ball is going to spawn in the next 5 seconds. So get yourself in a position to get the ball. Because even if you're fighting against a much better team for whatever reason, or anything like that, if they don't have the ball, they can't score. So controlling the middle and controlling the ball is actually incredibly important. And you want to know when to stick and when to twist, yeah? When is the best time for you to give up chasing? And that'll vary depending on the game. There's no kind of like hard or fast rule on this. Some of them will be obvious, some of them not so obvious. Sometimes you might just look at the odds of it. Like if you've got a guy with the ball who's got a tank on him and like 3 healers, you might think, well, there's no way I'm going to kill him. Just drop back down, get to mid, and try and get the rebound ball.
Especially because, yeah, sometimes you will find yourself in a team that is weaker than the other one, either because of the personal skill of the other team or just because they have a better team composition. So instead of you will have, for example, the enemy team all in your half of the map. So what you should do is contest the mid. They score, all right. They cannot be in 2 positions at the same time. So just try to pick up the ball and try to score with your team. And
that is the great thing about distribution on these maps.
Exactly.
If you have people moving forward, so say you have the pass chain going, that means they'll only ever have 6 active players because they have 2 players running the ball. So the more they commit to scoring, the less they commit to getting the ball. So you need to take advantage of that.
Just on your trick with rebounds and stuff. If you have extra time, and this only applies to a few circumstances, but if you have extra time, and it's a close game, you can always stall out. So, for example, you have 30 seconds before you explode somehow, and it doesn't look like there's going to be anyone that can get to you. Just you can stand there. You can stand, like, say here, for example. You can wait 5 or 6 seconds and then jump up, and that gives your team enough time to get people back into mid. And little things like that can actually help you a lot with your player distributions, as Snave mentioned.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just things like that means that you get an extra 5-6 seconds. That gives you enough time, say, for maybe your hero and your tank to get back to mid, and that can be like, yeah, that can just be a game changing to not have your tank and healer at mid.
Oh, it's a big difference for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to cover now on this one? Anything specific? Buffs I want to cover, and where not to stand.
Another thing that I forgot to say about Maras is that also camouflage will reset the ball if you're carrying it.
Any stealth resets the ball is better.
Yeah.
So the buffs on this map, you've got a heal buff, which is here, top middle. You have another heal buff here. And then there's a third heal buff down here. There's also a super sneaky fourth heal buff. Oh, I just missed it. Which is up here. So if you drop down onto that pipe, you can run across the pipe to get that health buff as well. There's also speed buffs placed around. So up middle you have one here, which is the southeast corner. And you also have one then in the opposite corner. So northwest will be a speed buff. There's also 2 other speed buffs on the north and south side. So there's one here. And there's also one on the other side then up here. There isn't anything on the other side, so the west and east doesn't have them. Just north and south will have the speed buffs. You also have speed buffs and the Warzone Adrenal, so the damage increase on these platforms here. Now, you can only get to these by dropping down onto them, basically. But if you're trying to get to the ball for the scramble on the reset, then obviously if you drop down here, get the speed buff, you have that ready to get to middle, and you also have the expertise buff here. On the other side, they're not symmetrical, they're mirrored. So the other side, so in this time the east side has the speed buff and the Warzone buff on the other side. Yeah, that one's the west and the east there, okay? So they do spawn on different sides. I don't think there's any more buffs on here, is there? That's everything.
No, that's everything.
No? Okay, so the one thing I wanted to cover here is where not to stand. Because this game now, every class has a large amount of mobility. Even classes which you might think are relatively immobile have a good amount of mobility. Because even just having leap is enough. So if someone is at the bottom level, for example, so you want to drop down a second, Shinra?
Yeah.
So there's a PT there. PT has leap. So if I'm standing here, basically what I'm doing is I'm giving him a free pass to bypass that trap. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to ever do that because you're literally giving them an easier route there. And there's a few different ways you need to be careful when you're standing around things as well. So say, for example, I'm standing here waiting for a pass. If I'm not in stealth, I need to be mindful that if you want to pass to Alison Diddle for a second. Oh, wait. Yeah, pass to Alison. Oh, never mind.
Oh, sorry.
But if the ball is coming in, you can CC them, push them, pull them to get out of there. So you need to be careful when you're positioned that you're aware of what's around you. Because there is some travel time on that ball. Yeah? Plenty of time for someone to do some kind of interception or something else on them. There's a lot of different things you've got to kind of track in your head in Huttball when it comes to correct positioning. You can't get LEP 2 on the line, so that's not too big of a deal anymore. But you can get LEP 2 on the pipe. So if you're an expert merc, if you just want to stand... Yeah, if you just want to stand in the middle, Nyala. Oh, actually, there's perfect. So the greatest goal that I've ever seen in Huttball, Alison, can you stand here for me, please? You see what I'm jumping?
No, you're jumping at me. Go to Snavette.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah? Oh, there's someone there anyway, okay. So
I need to pass the ball fast. Or I will lose it.
It's alright, I'm just going to show you how it works. So, a guy called Flock scored this goal, and basically what he did was, he was down the bottom. It's slightly different to this. It would be reversed, and I would intercede here, but he leapt here, targeted his friendly teammate, interceded up, and this is back when you could leap to the line, and then he leapt to someone on the line after pushing them off. It was a tremendous goal. But if you're on the pipe, that's just something that people can do. So you just saw then that within 2 GCDs, and I was a bit slow clicking, but if you see, within 2 GCDs, I went from the bottom to the middle to the top on the pipe, and then all I've got to do is walk the rest of the way, and I've scored, or I can pass off to someone on the line or something else. So you want to be really careful where you're positioning. Just be aware that you can get leapt to, and if the leap is going to mess your entire team up, maybe don't stand there, or at least have some kind of plan. So if you're a merc there, for example, make sure you've got the knockback ready and you use it at the proper time when they don't have immunity and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a bit of class knowledge needed. I'm just going to jump back onto my operative quickly, because one of the next bits I want to do is operative roles, desync, and how you kill operatives.
Just on that note, the only with people now still being able to leap to you on your line and leap up there, the best classes for doing that are snipers, because in cover they can't be leapt to.
You can't leap to the line to enemies.
Yeah, even on the pipe,
there's an exception
sorry.
in the normal Huttball. Yeah.
But no, if you're on the pipe, you should still only be a sniper doing that. That's because mercs and sorts can be let to, particularly juggernauts. Brutal, because if they take the utility, that means they can't be knocked back. Well, then in those 4 seconds, they're going to leap to you, and you're not going to be able to knock them off yourselves.
And if it's really juicy, they might have push available to push you off the pipe. Get off my pipe. My pipe now.
Yeah. It's also important to note that phase walk is a bit iffy in Huttballs, particularly that one. So you can't phase walk on the goal line or on that small area outside of it between the two acid traps, or on the little bit of the pipe extending from it. However, you can run if you use force speed and run from the pipe onto that area between the two acid pipes. You can put your phase walk down on it, because the game hasn't updated your position fast enough, and it's abusing like the system, but you can still do it. I don't know if it's abusing, but yeah. So you can use your force speed to place phase walk in a place where you shouldn't be able to, and it's like something like that can really take people by surprise. I
did not endorse this comment, you hacksaw.
I don't hack it. It was just I literally experimented for the last 3 minutes how far I could get my phase walk onto the line.
Does someone want to invite me?
Yeah, sure.
So, what do you want to do next? We've done. Are you happy that we covered fire pulls enough? I don't think we have, to be honest with you.
I'm not volunteering to be the sacrifice to be on the receiving end of fire pulls.
I'm fine. I can kind of show you how to avoid them the best that you possibly can. But do you want to do an OG Huttball for this one?
Yeah, OG. Then we can do Vanden to finish off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a Mara in my group by any chance? I think I just saw
there is one in mine.
We have Sporks in Merc and Operative.
Alright, never mind. So before we do fire pulls, I just want to show you some possible routes that you can run the ball. This isn't the tactics side of things. This is more just what you can do if you're playing solo and you don't have a team or people listening to you. Tactics for these maps are more to do with a constructed aspect, or when people on your team are all trying to go in the same direction. Yeah. So if you're in a pre-made, for example, that's when you would try and use more kind of specific game tactics. But there's also general ones in terms of shortcuts and ball carrying paths that you would generally take to try and score, depending on what tactic you're trying to use. So the first one I'll just show you again in a minute is how you grab the ball first of all. So speeding to get the ball immediately. Do you have a Mara on your team?
Yes.
Yeah. What class are you on?
I'm on PT.
You're on PT, yeah? Okay. Yeah. If you get predation at the start, and then just try and leap to me. Just want to see if you can do it on... I think you can do it on PT.
Is it tank? I think it might be tank spec only that has leap. Or is it no?
Leap?
What?
No, they all have leap.
No,
that got changed, didn't it?
You could also use pull, I guess, if you want to. Pull is a bit riskier because you're pulling me forward, and if I get the ball by the time it connects, then you're helping me. So I would usually go with leap. You can do the same thing with Jug and with Mara as well. You just need to have some kind of route or slow. There's just anything that interrupts the operative will generally do it. But Predation is incredibly potent because it basically gives everyone... Is it 30% untalented?
Yeah.
What's the talented one? Still 30%.
It has an increase, but I can't remember exactly.
So you can see, I can just about get the ball, but if he's doing that, and he's doing it as fast as he can, he leaps past the ball, so he is able to grab it just before I get there. It's an actual race, because predation will close that distance for you. Now, once I've got the ball, there's a few different ways you would typically run it, okay? So the first one that I would normally do is just straight through, straight down the middle. So I'd roll over the acid so I avoid the slow, and then typically this one's going to die out so I can run over this one. I'll have my cooldowns available so I don't have to worry about it too much. If there's anyone forward, then I can just hollow traverse to them, and then I just roll across then and score on the line. Yeah, that's the first way. Can you pass me, or can you just reset the ball, please, Chauncey? The second one is what I like to call the JFK, which is back and to the left. So get the ball, you run back towards your own goal line, and then you go behind this ledge. Now this will give you a good amount of line of sight against the enemy team. What you can do, if you're on the enemy team, you can see the purple line above my head. So what I like to do sometimes is if I'm running this direction, I'll do a little bit of a shuffle, so they don't know which direction I'm going in or they guess in. I wait for them to commit one way, and if they commit that way, I can always come back out here. If they don't, then I can just carry on with this run. This is the most consistent way of running the ball, because you aren't relying on any RNG. If you have people forward, you can pass, you can haul it to them, or you can just try and solo carry it through rolling. So we'll just pass in this instance. Passing in Huttball is always going to be a risk, just because you can intercept, you can stun them to stop the ball from going through, you can pull them or push them out of the way so they can't get it as well. So there's also options with that. The other one you can do, which is kind of the same type of thing, this is the let Jesus take the wheel approach. So you grab the ball. Allison, I appreciate you're keen to try this out, but is there any possible way you could let me finish teaching you how to play Huttball before you start CC me and running off with the ball?
Yeah, can you give back to Snow, please?
Or just reset it, it's fine.
Reset the ball, please.
Reset, yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, the second one is called the Let Jesus Take the Wheel. What you do is you grab the ball, you run to an A pad, and you just hope for the best. That is... Oh, that's pretty unlucky. So that one put me pretty much nowhere. Ideally, the way you wanted to push you is to here, so the opposite side of this one. But with the different options you have here, this isn't always as bad as you would think, because there's a good chance that it will put you on a different section of the map. These ones here, so that one there and the similar part there, those are the two worst ones because you make no progress. But anything forward or to the side is beneficial for you because it saves you running around. So sometimes it is worth the risk because you have some good outcomes on there. But it depends on the map a lot of the time, like who's going on, who's playing. Because if I'm getting pummeled, I'm not going to run back. I'm going to just hope that this works because they can't hit me when I'm in the air. So, or they can hit me, just not as much. So that's one. One thing I like with this as well, this is the don't stand in stupid positions. If someone is standing there, if you're on operative or anything else with a leap, you just leap to them, get over the first trap.
And you're home free.
And you're done. Yeah, I just cocked that roll up, but yeah, you're done. Okay, so that's another one you can do, and that's how operatives score most of the time. It's from people standing in bad positions and basically messing their entire team up because they stand in bad positions. The most common path I see people taking, if someone wants to go on the line, please, this is just on the line. Ideally, you would do this with 2 stealthers. All you would do is roll the first acid, roll the second, you get the double roll, and then you can just pass across them on the line. You can pass a lot further back than people think. If that person is on your team, you can obviously click them and you can do the double click to pass, and then it'll pass to them as soon as you get into range as well. So that's one thing you want to look out for. So I hear the question already. What's the best way to counter all of that? Well, Shinra, do you want to just fire pull me?
Yeah, sure. Get the ball.
That's the way, because what's going to happen is if you're playing a class which is relying on mobility as opposed to DCDs, yeah, then you're going to have to roll at some point in time, and I'll just do it with operative because it's a good example. So I'm going to roll over this, and now I can either use my roll now to become immune to pull, or I can wait to get here so I can roll off and score. But there'll be about a second between those rolls, so I can get pulled. No, because the immunity is actually longer than the global cooldown. It's 2 seconds, not 1.5. So if you see this here, that's the operative cooldown for roll. That's the one that gives you immunity, that little shield there. It goes just after. It's actually 2 seconds. So if I roll the first one, there's always going to be some kind of downtime. You can't just roll your way into the line. You can't. You only have 2, and 2 will only cover a certain amount of distance. Alison, do you mind fucking off? Thank you. There, you get pulled across, and then you die in the fire. So you have to make sure that you either have roll available, and you're trying to mitigate the pull, or guess when they're going to pull you and use it accordingly, which is a bit of the chess game going on, or you have to accept that a PT is going to pull you continuously, because that is normally what happens. It's a bit easier on Sin, because you can do her in stealth, Sin Tank, sorry, because you can do her in stealth, but it's certainly not tricky on Power Tech. And that's really what everyone has to avoid on this map. You have to be thinking about pull. You don't see her in the game much anymore. I don't know whether that's because of a lack of PTs or a lack of knowledge, but it happens a fair bit against any team that's competent, basically. So, do you have pull available, Shinra?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to try and not let you pull me, all right?
Okay.
So, imagine I have the ball, and you'll just go.
Especially because you are not this thing.
I'm line of sighted now.
Yeah.
So he can't do it. I have 3 seconds left on roll. Typically you go for a stun, and then you just roll it off the edge. But you want to play around it with tucking yourself into a corner so that the pull doesn't work. Do you want to try pulling me up to the top as well?
Yeah, sure.
You can do that here, I think.
Or here.
You want to angle it.
No, I cannot.
So they can't see you, yeah?
Exactly.
You want to hump that pillow so they can't see you. Whereas if you are here, running in, all he's got to do is shimmy across and pull you into the fire. Now, if you can't get a fire pull, that doesn't mean that it isn't worth doing the pull. If someone's going to score and you pull them back into the pit, it's still worth doing. If you have something which is a little bit less accurate than pull, like push, or knockback with, what's the soap one called?
Overload.
Again, you can still do the same things, it just takes a bit more coordination and skill to get there, as opposed to pull in, because pull literally puts them where you are. So as long as you were standing in the correct position, it'll work.
Also, why you don't see PTs doing it anymore is because, as an assassin, you can obviously stealth, and therefore they can't see it coming. Whereas if you can see a PT running behind you, you're more than likely to guess that you're about to be pulled. Whereas Sim Tank,
it's so hard to play around pull.
Yeah.
You should always be doing it. Yeah, always be doing it. It doesn't even matter if you don't fire pull. Like if you just pull them down a level to stop the goal, it's not as good, but it's better than nothing.
You're still stalling for time, and it's only 45 seconds in the end.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. You want to do phase walk routes and stuff as well, or not?
One more thing about the leap. We said that you cannot leap to somebody in the meta area. There's an exception that a lot of people actually does. Can somebody of you of the enemy team go at your meta, at your spawning point?
Okay. Someone's obviously not been defending it. Someone's able to stand there.
Where do you want me to
go? Where you spawn, just down there, on the edge. So what happens a lot of time is that somebody like let's say that I have the ball, and I'm down here. Normally there will be no way for me to score, but in this map I can just jump on them and then go for it. So please don't stay on the edge. Stay just a little bit farther away so that you have loss against the target if you are a range or whatever. Just don't stay on the edge or they will jump on you 99% of the time.
Yep. And also just to reiterate, right, if someone is camping the line, you can stun them, they won't get the ball. You can leap to them, stun them, and they won't get the ball. There's lots of ways to play around it. Alright, I think that's enough on fire pulls.
Yeah. Just for sword positioning, if you just want to compare
yes.
Pacing a phase walk is there, because the second you phase walk, you can't really be knocked back. This is like the best place to be. Basically, if you're on defense or offense, you phase walk up here. And they have to like kind of angle themselves to be here or here. And as a Sork, obviously you have your own knockback, so there's a good chance that you can also put them straight into a fire pit as well. So there'll be very few people that will be wanting to contest that. best classes to contest a phase route there is obviously Sniper with Hunker down on, because they can't be knocked back, and they can be there and knocked back.
That's also a great place for friendly pulls as well.
Yeah, friendly pools, anything up on the top ledge that avoids the first set of fire pits. Or again on the line, but if you're on the line, you're just being stunned or knocked back straight after the pool.
I think you can leap to the line on Vandin as well.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can. It's only question I don't think you can.
Okay.
Because if you the length of the map is a lot smaller than Quesh, but the height is a lot greater, which is why you can't leap, because there's theoretically less XY distance to travel, but more Z distance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So are we gonna go for a Vandine?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Brandon's got, what, 3 different types of traps? Plus grappling, plus the heals, plus, you know.
Yeah, we'll run around the map and show you everything on there. But it's the same premise as the other Huttballs. It's just different in the layout. It does have that, what's it called, grapple effect as well. That's different to the other Huttballs.
Yeah. I've only managed to do it 3 or 4 times where I've been knocked off the edge and managed to get myself back up using it in time.
I don't ever go anywhere near it, so I don't even know why it's in the game. It's a complete waste of time, in my opinion. Like, why on earth would you spend all this time inventing a new button to have in Huttball and a new mechanic, only to put it in the middle of buttfuck nowhere that no one ever goes to? But the only way that's going to be ever used is if people are trying to pull you and push you off. So like a pull from a Sork or a PT followed by a push from something else. That's the only time that's going to happen.
Well, that's where the health med packs are, though. Off the edges there, by the edge.
Okay, so if you walk across there to get it, and then walk back into the fight, how long does that take you versus dying?
Yeah, it's much better to die. Plus, if you do run out there...
And you get pushed off, you're dead anyway.
Yeah, you deserve to die for that.
I can see why you do it as a desperation move or whatever, but I just think it's such a convoluted mechanic for like virtually no gain.
It's like, the only classes of benefits are like Marauders that have the camouflage.
I guess so, yeah.
That's like the only class that really benefits. Any other class they can see really running for it. If you're an operative assassin, you just stealth up and go and heal anyway.
Yeah.
It only really benefits Marauders. And
there's a long distance to cover to get there.
Yeah. And plus the majority of the time you do that, someone will leap to you and knock you off anyway.
Just not to give the kill.
I'll show you the fastest route on operative as well to get to the mid here. So these air boosts are fixed. They will put you in the same position, which is just over this fart cloud one here, right? This thing is silent but violent, I promise you. It is super lethal. So you want to avoid that one at all costs. But yeah, it'll put you just over there, and then you can utilize the double roll to get back into mid. So I'll try and do this as quick as I can for you, but I just want to show you the path. So you run out, don't roll, get the boost, use your speed boost. You want to roll diagonally across here, and then roll diagonally off there. That gives you 2 double rolls, which is the fastest way to get across into the middle. These things will put you back. So these speed boosts, these air pads will put you backwards towards your own goal line, which is good defensively, but obviously bad if you're attacking. It's quite good if you want to get out of trouble, and there's no one from your team around to help you. You can kind of use it as an escape route to someone further back. But it puts you into fixed positions. I think it's this one here, and there's a little place over the other side as well they can go to. But it's always back towards your own goal line.
It's important to note that there's 2 different arrows we're looking at this, where we have the ball. You have the big yellow one, which is the direction of passing the ball, and the small pink one that shows the direction that you get knocked back by these.
They put those arrows on there. I see.
So you should always see which way you get knocked back on these.
Oops. I think isn't there one like right in the middle of nowhere over here? If for whatever reason you end up over here, I don't know why you would. There's also a speed boost, not a speed boost. An air pad that puts you down here. I don't really see why you would ever do that, but there you go. FYI. When it comes to your buffs, you've got your heal buff at the end of this pillar here.
Never ever go for these unless you really want to get knocked off the edge.
You've got... Does the recover even work? Do you want to try and push me off? This is the damage boost, and then there's another heal.
Yeah, I don't think you have much time to recover. Like, the only thing that would save you is a Sork with incredibly fast reflexes pulling you up.
No, the gravity grapple works.
You can try jumping off and pulling up, but I don't think you have time.
Does anyone want to push me off? Oh, someone's in coming here. Yeah, just overload me. Yeah, I spammed that button as soon as I went down and it wasn't fast enough.
Yeah, there's really no point. You run over
What
there.
is the point of that? Alright. So, yeah, if you get knocked off, you're dead.
Yeah. There's something important to note about this map, I think, in Huttball, that if you stealth up before going outside, it instantly takes you out of stealth once you pass the line, or once you go out of the door. I don't know if you want to try it, Snake.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, that means if you're running out to defend, you can't. Don't go out if you're in stealth.
I'm in stealth still.
I think the second you jump down.
Nope.
Change that? Okay.
I'm not familiar with what you're saying on that one either.
No, it's true actually. I mean,
I can do it again if you want to.
if you go up and down through that line and you're in stealth, it should stealth you out.
Okay, 1 second. So let me just stealth again. I'm in the graveyard now. Gonna run straight forward.
Yeah.
Ah, it did that time.
Yeah. Well, that's weird. But yeah.
Is it this pad? Maybe if I run on an angle.
It might be the pad then. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be actually. Yeah.
Let me just try it again, but I'll run down a different angle.
Actually,
I don't know if
yes,
walking
it's
over
the pad.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's probably the pad then. But no, that's
Because I was going to say I've definitely dropped down and not left stealth before, so we'll try doing it a little bit of an angle.
Good. Will all these pads remove you from stealth then? Do you think? Dotted around the map.
I'm still in stealth now.
Okay, so it's definitely these grapple pads. I think.
Yeah, the pad takes you out of stealth. Yeah.
That's counterproductive but productive at the same time.
I guess so you can use the pad. I may as well show you when I'm down here. These are the gravity pads that you can use to get back up. So you have this gravity grapple ability. It has a 45-second cooldown. If I press that, it propels me here. You go forward 1 notch, basically. It's very good if so. Say for example, you've committed to chasing the ball carrier for whatever reason, and you've overcommitted. So let's say I'm running back in defense here, and it's like, oh, they've got it. Never mind. What I can do is just drop down here and then boost up, and then it'll put me here, and I can roll back to mid. It's good for getting back into the middle position. You don't really use this for anything else, so you may as well use it for that.
I don't think they work if you have the ball though, but you can't use it where you have the ball.
You can't use when you have the ball, no, that's correct.
No.
Or in stealth. So trap-wise, you recognize the fire traps. These are the same as the other fire traps, yeah? There's the same amount of damage.
Is it?
Yeah, 41k.
Okay.
These are the stun traps, so this will stun you. Now, it's worth noting that this stun does not build any resolve. So if you get stuck in this, it does not take long to get stuck in this forever. If someone roots you or puts another stun on you, you will get stunned. So, anyone want to stun me here?
Yeah. It's also important to note that if you're at max resolve,
you still get stunned.
You still get stunned.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you get caught in that with a team around you. You aren't getting out.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you can roll it actually. Can you?
Yeah, well, it's like anything. You can roll it, and if it works, great. But if it doesn't, you will get stunned. What happens a lot of the time is you'll get stunned, and then it'll put you underneath the trap, because game is good. But yeah, let me just show you with... so, root into stun. Into stun.
You're gonna die from the trap next time.
Then I roll
He broke it! That's cheating. But yeah, so this is... So I rolled through and I got hit by it then. So you can roll, sometimes you don't get hit, sometimes you do get hit. The same thing, this is with the deadly gas cloud. So if you get hit by this, let me just try and heal up to full first to show you this, because this does a ridiculous amount of damage ridiculously quickly.
And there's no way.
I think you can survive it with extensive healing and DCDs.
Yeah.
But not always.
It's much better to die than waste the amount of DCDs to survive it.
So let me just get 1 tick on here.
Or Alison.
And I will continue to take 20,000 damage. Oh, I didn't take any damage then, never mind. Let me just go back in here again. Sorry, someone just leapt into me. So the trap is active, I get the dot on me. And that's it. Can't cleanse the dot, you can try and heal through it, but it's like 20,000 damage every 0.25 seconds, it looks like.
Yeah.
0.5, I'm not sure, I can't tell time that well, I'm sorry. So, good luck healing through that.
It's, your chances of doing that are low. Can you use cooldowns?
Yeah, you can use cooldowns, but they aren't very effective.
Mad packs.
No, it goes through force barrier as well, so there is nothing that will... I don't think there is anything.
I'm pretty sure I've survived one of them.
Yeah,
I've seen
you can
some
mad packs.
You can survive it, but
have something
it's
can heal you.
You say first.
Oh, sorry. No, I was saying that medpacks and, for example, overcharge saber from Sin, anything that can heal you, can help you keep yourself alive. You can survive though.
You can heal it, but I don't think you can use defensive.
No defense.
This looks like a 6-second stun.
Yeah. Anything else about this one?
Yeah, I would add that the main strategy here, since the map is so fucking huge, I would recommend to have somebody, especially for stealther. Actually, a stealther would be the best. To stay on the enemy scoring line and just pick up the ball and try to go down. I don't have anybody on the scoring line, but anyway, you go here, the stealther will stealth out, you pass the ball, you go back to the ball.
This is a really simple tactic that's really effective, and I hear people complaining about it constantly, alright? This is how you counteract that. You just leap to them and stun them, or throw a grenade at them, and then they'll miss the ball. That's literally all you've got to do. It's one of the easiest things to play around. If you get in like messed up by someone who's line camping, it's because you haven't gone back to get rid of them, or you don't have anyone there who knows how to get rid of them. So a knockback, a stun, anything when the ball is in transition will mess it up. You need to be careful with your positioning, because like for example, if it's someone with a leap, then they can just leap to you. So you need to be a little bit careful, but that's how you stop that. It isn't a complicated, multi-layered strategy. You just leap in and CC them, or just throw a grenade. Throwing a grenade will stop them. Do you have anyone on the line to pass to?
No. But also good tip is to watch the ball carrier. Check the direction that it takes, because most of the time it will go for the pass.
The same
so you
side.
can already so you can see, all right, he's going left. Probably his ally will be left.
Yeah, that is very true. So that's the this is true for all the Huttballs, by the way. I get apart from Crash Huttball. In OG Huttball, it's the same thing. People will run through the pit and pass. It's really easy to shut down. You can just leap to them, throw a grenade at them. Any kind of mez, any kind of stun will stop them from getting the ball. So that's certainly a common tactic. That's the player on the line tactic. Yeah. The other one you can do is, seeing as we may as well go through tactics now as well. Actually, let's wait for the game, because it's going to end in 10 seconds, so let's respawn it.
Just something to note is Sorks again can place phase walks on the line as with the original Huttball. Yeah, you can also have Sorks put phase walks down on either side to defend or play offense with it.
Nice goal then, whoever did that. Well done. I was waiting for that rebound, but you sussed me. 10 points for listening to me earlier. So after the tactics, is there anything else to go through?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much everything.
Where the modes are in this map, but
we've done that.
One.
Oh, yeah, we've done. Okay, no, nice.
Yeah, just pop Bandin again. It's the same for all of them. So tactics you'd use.
Alright, so Bandin.
Wow, we're dangerously close to having this only last 2 hours as well, man. I'm impressed.
Yeah. We did reckon the previous one was so long because
there's a lot to go through.
There's always a lot to go through in introductions and stuff like that.
But it seemed to be fairly positively received, so I don't mind.
Yeah.
So with this one, we're going to go through the various tactics you would just use. So the one that I just showed you was called, we call it player on the line. It's literally where you just put a player on the line, you run in a straight line through the pit and then pass the ball to them. Counterplay is either knocking them off the line, intercepting the ball through push, pull, stun, or a combination of those types of things, yeah? But there's plenty of options to get around that. If you're playing against a good player who you think is going to use some kind of immunity just before the ball comes in, just stun them before they do. There's nothing wrong with that.
Also, my recommendation is this: if you've got one person standing on the line, there can only be 7 people at mid. Therefore, if you have 8, technically you should be able to win a fight, although 7 versus 8
This man counts to 8.
Yeah, this map is pretty much still an 8v8 because of how easy it is to move the ball. But yeah, so don't think that you could just win a 7 versus 8 at mid, because it only takes like one of them, and any class can run the ball down to the person on the line. It doesn't just require 2 people on comms.
Yeah.
It just requires...
That will be 8v6, not 8v7.
Yeah. No, what I meant by that was that, you know, I probably explained this horrifically. With one person on the line, it's down to 8v7.
Yes.
But because of how easy it is to move the ball, it won't go below that, and you can't necessarily always win the 8v7 to hold mid, because you may not have enough healers, or they might have skanks or something. So you shouldn't rely on that.
No, Huttball's all about grabbing balls.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other one you can do is just control in mid. So what you would do is, this is like your typical DPS approach to the problem. So you'd have your people positioned around the middle of the map, and basically what you're doing is fighting for the ball. The enemy team can't win if they don't have the ball. You can try and sneak a goal in first of all, so you have the advantage. But after that, everyone camps at mid and just obliterates whoever comes there, and they just try and you're trying to win via DPS, not necessarily through scoring. If you do want to score, what you would then do is either send a very mobile person, like an operative, for example, to try and get there as soon as possible and get the goal in there, or you would kind of move as a pack. So maybe you give the tank a ball and give them a healer, and then they will move forward whilst DPS kind of intercepts and peels for them. But that's really only effective if your team is like way better than the enemy. The thing I find about DPS strats is they only work if you're way better. And I think if you're way better, then you've already won, so why are we even discussing strats? You know, it doesn't seem to kind of like mesh that well for me. But yeah, that's what you would do. You control the respawn of the ball, so as soon as I score there, you'd have a person ready to get the ball back up again, which would be ideally a Sin or a Sniper, or a Sork with Phase Walk if you can get there quickly. Ideally Sniper, because in Trench is just, you can't get it. They click it, they're going to get it. And then you just rinse and repeat. But all the while, your entire team is just keeping this area protected. That's all they're trying to do. It's essentially like fighting at mid in Civil War or Navari Coast. That's all that it is. Player online we covered. The other one that is used a lot, Zaizen, if you want to go forward, is the friendly pull forward. So the friendly pull forward is godly because it can get you literally to the line without using any cooldowns. So if you just want to go into a position that you think is good for pulls...
2-6. If you run all the way close to the edge, I should be able to pull you from there.
Yep. So I've just covered all of that. I've got 2 rolls and I'm scoring. And I'm dying.
Combat res.
No, I'm alright. I should run back in now. So the friendly pull to the line is great. Whenever you hear someone complaining about a particular class, it isn't usually the class they complain about that's the problem. It's usually the Sork with a friendly pull. Operative with a Sork with a friendly pull is super, super broken. Because the downside of roll is you can only use it twice in 10 seconds. Which isn't a huge amount of time when you can get messed up by the entire team. So you want to kind of be cautious with it all. But then if you have a Sork, what's the cooldown on it?
60 seconds, I believe. 52 for me, actually.
How long do you have left?
5.
Okay, so in this instance, yeah, if I run here and he pulls me forward, I can just use my rolls here. I can just, even if I just roll from the point he puts me, just roll and roll, I'm on the line. It's so strong, it's unbelievable. If they have a Sork pulling people forward, the counterplay is to get rid of the Sork pulling them forward. There isn't really much else you can do, unfortunately, because they already have the ball. There's going to be no points of interception, so you have to kind of shut down the Sork or stun the Sork before he pulls and then kill the ball carrier. But yeah, when it's combined with other classes, it's unbelievably strong, because it's basically pulling you. What's the range on it? Is it 30 meters?
30.
Yeah, it's basically a 30-meter leap to any position you want to be in, which is obviously very powerful. The other thing you want to be careful of is your positioning again, because even if you aren't leaping to the line, leap is still incredibly powerful. Because I've just done the same thing as the friendly pull.
Yeah.
Alright, so you don't want to be standing in these types of positions. If you are standing in those types of positions, you need to have a contingency plan in case someone gets across to you, okay? The other one, you saw... Go on, carry on, sorry.
Oh no, what I was going to say is, particularly with Operative Assault, cooldown of Hodge versus 45 seconds, correct?
Yes.
So
you can alternate.
Extricate the first one and Hodge reverse to me the second time, and at that point it's just... Yeah, it's just...
Disgusting.
There's not... Yeah. It's also
but that's the same thing with Intercede as well, though. Other classes can do that.
Intercede plus Mad Dash, like... any class that basically can gap close to a friendly target, this strategy works really well on.
Zaizine, if you go across to the same position that you were just in, and Shinra, if you know what I'm going to say now?
Where you are? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm here. He's gonna pull me. Yeah. Do you want to show everyone the counter to friendly pull?
Oh yeah.
Which the counter to pull is more pull. That's how you know a move is busted. So it doesn't have to be a fire pull. It can just be like this. So he pulls me forward. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You know. So that's how it goes. Yeah. That's how you know, when the counter to ability is the ability. That's when you know it's broken. So, if he fire pulled me then I would have died. There's lots of traps you can pull people into on this map. It's like a playground for range, to be honest with you. Snipers are also really strong, rooting people in the fire. You can kind of stand around this middle platform here, and you can get good access to all of the traps, and get a good access of middle and sides too. So snipers are really strong on this map as well, along with mercs doing the same thing too. The other tactic that I wanted to go through is just walk it in. So what you do with this one is you get up someone the ball, preferably a tank. The tank will then walk forward with the ball, with a healer, probably with another tank guarding him, and then they just try and walk it in. That's literally it. So it's the Arsene Wenger. Yeah, you're just going to try and... Did you see that ludicrous display last night? Just walk the ball in. When 8s was a thing, when 8-man ranked was a thing, the strategy there was you would... yeah, you can kind of do it on this one. So what you would do is you'd get the tank a ball, they would run down into the pit, and then they would hide under the scaffolding so they couldn't be fire pulled. I'm not sure if you can hide under the scaffolding. This one you definitely can. So you hide under here so you can't be pulled. You wait until there's either a Sork on the line to friendly pull you, or someone to intercede to, or someone to leap to, and then you just score on there. And that is essentially just how you walk the ball in. That meshes quite nicely with the DPS approach. But again, if you have that much superiority in DPS, tanking, and healing, I don't think it really matters what tactic you use because you're going to win anyway.
Yeah.
The tactics are the same with all the Huttballs as well, apart from Quash, which has the pass straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, and as always, if you cannot counter the tactic, just go for the rebound.
Rebound. Yeah. Because you can imagine, with the tank trying to walk it in, they're going to have 3 or 4 players out, minimum. So you got a good chance of getting that rebound as well. Clicky, clicky, get it.
Show us what you've got, rotworms.
And I think, is that everything? Should we go for desync as well?
Can do.
So, if you come back to me, Zaizine, because it happens a lot on Sorks as well. So if you just come down to this side, it's usually on this ramp here. If you do like a force speed and then up this ramp, that kind of cocks it up a lot of the time. Watch it work perfectly now.
I'll wait for the fire truck to go down.
No, that's absolutely fine. I can probably proc it on someone else's screen on my operative, but obviously I'm on my operative, so you can't see it. Desync it basically happens when you travel up this Z-axis at a surprising speed or something which isn't standard, and it just causes your character to disappear. I'm fairly sure you've all seen this at some point in time, especially with operatives when they roll off the ledge. You see the ball bouncing around up and down. I think I have a video I can show you, but actually, because this will probably be a good example. I think I have a clip of a really good desync on this map, funnily enough. So give me a second, let me just load this up. Yeah, here we go. So, let me just go full screen here.
That's how it's done.
Okay, so this is a clip from an earlier game, where basically what's happening is this Sork here, Lauren Yell has the ball, and what they do is they use force speed to cover the fire trap, and then you can see exactly what happens when they use force speed, because everything goes wrong.
How unexpected.
So they've just disappeared off my screen. I don't know where this guy is gone. I can see the purple line that shows that they have the ball, but it shows that he's not visible here. He shows he's down. I go down to hit him. He's actually not there. He's actually up there. That's desync. So that's what it looks like. You just have you see the ball do this. So you don't know where they are. You can't see them on your screen, and they'll change levels a lot of the time. So what happens here is the game thinks he's on the bottom, then the game realizes he's not, so it teleports him back up there. I can't hit him when he's here either. That's what desync looks like. Okay.
If I had a wish, I'd be fixing the sync. Yeah.
Say that again, sorry, buddy.
If I had a wish about this game, would be fixing
desync.
Hands down.
It's pretty bad, to be fair. And I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing I can cover with this is fake passing, yeah, which is like next level thing. What you do is, if you think someone's going to intercept your pass, and they've only done this twice, so if you think someone's going to intercept your pass, what you can do is fake pass. Get ready to have your mind blown, you boys. Ball toss toy from the cartel market, confirmed pay to win, yeah? What you do is you click on the target and you do the ball toss. And a lot of the times that will debate out someone to either CC them or leap to them or anything else. A lot of the time that will happen. So you need to be careful on that one. But yeah, it's advanced fuckery, that one, isn't it? So give it a try if you want to. Oh, actually, on the note of passes, one thing that I did want to mention, because this is pretty important. If you get knocked back or like jostled around as you pass, the pass becomes invisible. So if you are, for example, on the line waiting for a pass to come through to you when you're in stealth, because you can't catch the ball in stealth, if you see the guy who's going to pass to you, just suddenly the ball isn't there anymore, leave stealth, because he's passed you.
Exactly.
Yep, it's a bit of a glitch if you get just jostled around. Any kind of knockback, push-pull will make the pass invisible. But I see people not react to it constantly, so something to be aware of. And I think that is that. Does anyone have any questions at all?
Someone said how you're in a custom mode and a guild has to change to another guild. That's one of the 3 new options they added in. They added the ability, this isn't Huttball specific, but they added the ability for groups just to be able to issue PvP challenges to other groups. And this can be in either 8v8s. If I give it to Snave, I think Snave can then demonstrate. Snave can demonstrate how it's done. I think it's Dragon Fist you need to do it to.
Yeah, I whispered.
So issue challenge. Enter the name, Dragon Fist. Issue challenge, and then you get to select what you want. So Starfighter, LOL, Arena, Warzones, and then you pick whichever one you want. And the teams are set up here. So what we would do is a skirmish. Guild v guild would be guild challenge. Each team needs to be in the same, in different guilds. Or can you do it with the same guild?
Yeah.
I guess you can.
Yeah.
You can do a guild challenge against your own guild.
Yeah, sure.
But how would you track the wins and losses?
I'm not sure, but for example, I did it with Ula, so I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so skirmish is the one that you would normally use, unless you're trying to do, I don't know what you just challenge, I guess, to track the wins and losses, maybe. You pick whichever one you want, go into skirmish. It gets sent across to them, then they accept or ignore, and then it pops. That's literally it. So it's really good for guides like this. It allows you to just talk through the whole map. Which is really good for explaining sap capping, which will probably be next week. It'll take a while.
Yeah, we'll do what? Yavin...
Civil War and Yavin.
Yeah, there's probably those 2.
I think that's everything.
Coast will be the shorter, yeah.
Could do Nova Coast as well, as it's probably the most unique.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions from anyone in Twitch chat or TeamSpeak at all? If you don't want to talk, you just type it in chat and we'll read it out.
Oh, I should check your YouTube video to see if there are any comments from that.
There's nothing like that, no.
Okay.
No, we're all good. Okay, well, that was the Huttball episode, so I hope you found that informative. Next week, hopefully, we'll be doing Civil War and Yavin. That is the plan. What we can do now is a couple of challenge games, but I'm just going to cut that there so that I've got a clean break on my video, basically. nice and easy for me.